Today we're checking out this full width winch mount front bumper with LED lights for the 2014 to 2021 Tundras. If you want tougher front end protection, real winch capability, and built-in lighting in one clean package, this is a solid bolt-on upgrade over that thin factory bumper that's definitely worth checking out. The key here is going to start with that full width design and the integrated winch mount, so you're ready for recoveries without buying any extra plates or brackets to adapt your winch to. You also get pre-installed LED lighting and also a huge LED light bar that goes on the top. Now, a little bit of a disclaimer, this is actually upside down because this is the only way I could get it to balance right here on my bench for the review. But picture this flipped over with a nice big LED bar on the top of it. And if you need to see how it looks exactly, there's plenty of pictures on the website, and we have the install section after this, so go around and look for the actual look of it when it's not flipped over like this. Just a quick disclaimer. So you're gonna get the pre-installed LED lighting up front and a big ol' LED bar up top. That's gonna brighten up nighttime driving and not driving on the trails at night and anytime you need extra lighting, like in foggy situations. Plus, the welded shackle mounts are gonna give you proper pull points when you need a recovery. Because it's a direct fit piece for the 2014 to 2021 trucks, the lines are gonna follow the Tundra's front end and the fit is gonna be tight, which keeps rattles down and airflow up to the radiator. Most folks move to a bumper like this when they want stronger protection on that front end, a better approach angle for the trails and steep situations, and a cleaner way to add a winch and auxiliary lighting without piecing together multiple parts and making it look like an afterthought. This looks like a really clean mod, everything in one piece like it was meant to be. When it comes to the construction on this, you're getting a steel bumper with stout mounting brackets and a winch plate built right in. The sealed LED housings to keep the moisture out and keep it trail ready, and the finish is durable black coating to help fight chips and corrosion down the road, and the mounting points line up with the factory location so the bumper sits straight and stays quiet over time. Hardware is going to be included, the full kit is ready to put on the truck whenever you get it, and the wiring for the lights is straightforward so you can tie into the factory switches for an auxiliary panel. Now, as far as the pricing goes on this, it's coming in right in the mid $800 price range. For a full width, heavy duty steel bumper with an integrated winch mount, D-ring points, and LEDs included, this is a very strong value versus piecing everything together separately. When it comes to the install on this one, it's gonna get rated a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, and you can have this job done in just 2 hours of your time. Now let's head on out to the shop, and we're gonna give you a detailed walkthrough of exactly how this install process goes.
For this install, you will need various impacts, small extension, a 1/4 inch to 3/8 adapter if necessary, 5 and 6 millimeter Allen sockets, 10, 12, 17, and 19 millimeter sockets, various ratchets, a 14 millimeter ratcheting wrench, a 13 millimeter ratcheting wrench, another ratchet, needle nose pliers, wire strippers and crimpers, a clip removal tool, and also not shown here is a jack and jack stands and some type of harness and connectors to activate your lights. What's up guys, today we're going to be doing a new front bumper on our Tundra, but before we get started we're going to send you to watch a quick video on how to remove your factory bumper, and we'll see you when you get back.
First thing we're going to do is, now that we have our vehicle up, now we're using a lift. If you're at home, you want to jack your vehicle up, make sure you use jack stands to properly secure your vehicle. We're going to start by removing this push pin, these two 10 millimeters and one 13 millimeter back here. Once we get those off, then we'll be able to lower our splash guard. So we're going to get started. Now I'm going to take my clip removal tool and remove that push clip. Now that we have that out, I'm going to take my 10 millimeter and remove these two bolts here on my impact gun. So now that we have our two 10 millimeters out, we have our push clip out, we have 3 more bolts, one here, and one here. We have one that's a little different size because ours has been apart a bunch of times, but these are, the rest of these up top here in the front are 12 millimeter. So we're going to remove them with our gun and our 12 millimeter. Now I'm just going to hold this up and remove the last one. I came on this side so I could take a look at it. You're gonna have to just lift up and slide it over to your left, and then it should come down. It's kind of got hooks in it that hold it in. And now that we have this removed, we'll go on to our sides and start removing our splash guards. Okay, next what we're gonna do is remove our splash guard. We're gonna remove these 4 10mm. We have a plastic clip back there and 2 12s and another 10 underneath. Well, first we'll concentrate on these. So I'm gonna take my ratchet and 10mm and remove these 4 bolts. Now we have those done, we'll get back there and remove that clip. Now I'm going to take my clip removal tool, get inside here, and pop our plastic clip out. Next, we'll go under the bottom and remove our 2 12mm and the 10mm, holding our splash guard on. Now we're going to remove our 2 10mm underneath here, followed by our 2 12mm. I'm going to take my ratchet, my 10mm socket, now that we have our 2 10mm, I'm going to go into removing our 2 12mm, taking my 12mm socket and ratchet. Now that I have those 2 removed, we should be able to remove our shield and our wheel well, and it should just come off pretty much just like that. Now you're going to want to repeat the same procedure on the other side. So now we're going to remove our 2 electrical connections for our fog lights. There's one here, there's a clip here we're going to have to remove with our clip tool, and there's one up here that we're going to have to disconnect. So I'm going to start by unplugging our fog light, squeeze the tab, pull that off. I'm going to take my clip removal tool and pull that clip out. And then I'm going to go up in here and disconnect this by pushing the tab in and pulling out our harness. And now that we have that disconnected, we're going to move on to removing our tow hooks. Now we're going to disconnect our tow tabs by removing these 2 17mm bolts right here. I'm going to take my 17mm on my gun and remove these 2 bolts. Just going to want to repeat that same procedure on the other side. Next, we're going to loosen the 4 bolts, 3 out here and 1 in here for our bumper brackets. I'm going to take my 14mm ratcheting wrench, get in here and loosen these up. I'm going to remove them all but one and just run one all the way out, but keep threads on it so that the bumper does not fall. And it's pretty good right there. Now we'll get the one on the inside. Now you're going to want to repeat the same procedure on the other side. So now we got everything unhooked. We're going to remove our bumper. I got Joe giving me a hand because this baby's pretty heavy. So we're going to grab it and take it off. Just like that.
Alrighty guys, welcome back. Now that we have our factory bumper off, it's time to start going on with our new setup. Now this is a winch capable bumper. We're going to install our winch plate, which is also our main bumper mount as well. First, we're going to reuse the factory 14mm bolt nuts, and they're going to go right on those factory studs. So we'll get that in place. Then once we have that in place, if you are installing a winch, that is when you want to put it on after we have the winch plate on. So we've got our winch plate. We're going to line that up with our factory studs. Keep that nice and centered. Just for now, we're going to install one of our factory nuts on a stud on each side to hold it in place. Okay, now we'll install the rest of our 14mm nuts and come back with our 14mm socket and tighten all these down. So once you've got those all in place, you want to make sure you're happy with how centered this is. We'll grab our 14mm socket, tighten these down. Once you have this side tight, you can do the same thing on the other side. So our next step is going to be to add some additional connections so we can install our new fog lights as well as our light bar. We're going to start with our fog light connections. We're going to come to our factory harness for our fog lights. Now instead of getting a new connector to wire into your new fog light wires, we're going to tap into the factory harness. This keeps it modular and a lot cheaper. So what we're going to do is take our T-taps. Now these don't come with your kit. These are available at automotive parts stores for very cheap. What we're going to do, so we're going to come to each of the two wires at our plug and get our T-tap on. It's going to sit the factory wire in this saddle, get that around it. I like to take some needle nose pliers. This is just going to give you a nice clamp. Squeeze that down a bit so it's nice and secure. We'll do the same thing for the other wire. Now once we have both of these locked down on our passenger side harness, we'll do the same thing for our driver side. Now that we have our T-taps on our first harness, we're going to do the same thing for the other side. Alright, so our next step is going to be to run the wiring for our light bar. Now again, your kit does not come with a way to power it. That is going to be up to you. We have a simple harness with a switch that we're going to run. These are readily available online or most automotive parts stores as well. But you will need some sort of harness or however you wish to connect your light bar, how you want it to power on. Again, this is just a simple way. So we've got a on-off switch. We're going to run this through our firewall into our cab so we can access that at any point. The easiest way to do that is a grommet next to the master cylinder and brake booster. So we're going to send this switch through, mount it up in our cab, and then we'll start with the rest of our wiring. We've got our switch. We're going to come to our grommet, push it aside enough to get our switch through. Sometimes it can be a little stubborn. Alright, so now that we have our switch through to our cab, we'll mount that in a minute. We're going to get the rest of our wiring hooked up first. What we want to do, if you have a harness like ours, it should have an inline fuse on the positive wire going to the relay. You want to open that cover, pop that fuse out for now. We're going to set that aside. That's going to keep the circuit dead while we hook everything up. So we're going to take our ground wire for our relay and our two positive wires. So we have a shorter and a longer positive wire. We're going to hook those up to our battery. So we're going to get these two reds set up first. So we're going to get our two positive connectors hooked on first. What we're going to do, we'll get these laid on top of each other so they can go in at the same time, best you can. So now we're going to get our positive and negative wires hooked up to our battery. So we're going to take an 11mm socket, loosen up the nut on our positive terminal. You don't need to fully remove it for these connectors. We're going to get these both onto the positive terminal. Push these onto the stud, and we'll take our 11mm socket and tighten that back down. And we're going to take our negative wire and we're going to take our 10mm socket and do the same thing for that. So now we're going to do the same thing for our negative wire. So again, we'll use our 12mm socket, loosen this nut, get our negative wire on, and tighten this back down. Now we're going to take our positive and negative wire that are going to go to our LED light bar. We're going to tuck those under our grill and into our open area so we can hook our light bar up once we have the bumper installed. So there's multiple spots you can do this. You just want to find a nice open section to get through. And we'll bring that down to this area. We can let that hang for now. All right, so now that we have our vehicle side prepped, it's time to start assembling our main body of our bumper. So we've got our two end caps and our center section. We're gonna get those installed using the provided 6mm Allen head bolts, lock washers, flat washers, and 14mm flange nuts. So we'll get those tightened down with our 6mm Allen socket and a ratchet and our 14mm ratcheting wrench. So we're gonna get our appropriate end cap in place. Now these are kind of cumbersome to work at first. What you want to do is just get the first one that lines up in, hold that in place. We'll get a flat washer. Once we've got our first one in, we'll install the rest of our hardware on this side, then we'll come back and tighten it down. Now that we have all four of these in, we'll come in and tighten them down. Once you got your first one tight, you can do the same thing for the other three bolts. Now once you've got this side buttoned up, you can do the same thing for the other side. So now we're going to attach our bull bar / light bar mount. We're going to use our 5mm Allen head bolts with lock washers, flat washers, and 13mm flange nuts. And it's going to go into these 3 holes on each side, so we'll get those in and tighten everything down. Now we'll get our first bolt in. And on the back side of that, we're going to add in a flat washer and flange nut. This is kind of a tight spot for these. And we'll do the same thing for the rest of our hardware. Now we'll tighten all these down using our 5mm Allen socket on our ratchet and a 13mm wrench for the nuts on the back side. And you can do the same thing for the other side. Now you can repeat the same step for the other side. Now we're going to install our light bar itself. Now our bracket we just installed has these 2 sub brackets on it that the light bar is going to mount to, and we're going to grab our provided 6mm Allen head bolts with lock washers and flat washers, 1 on each side, and get those in place. So we'll get our bar lined up on our brackets. Get the bolts started. We'll take our 6mm Allen socket, we'll level out our light bar, tighten these down. Next, we're going to install our male spade connector so we can connect our light to our harness. These come pre-stripped. We'll just get our connectors on. We'll grab our crimpers, crimp those down. Do the same thing for our positive wire. Once you have these two on, you can do the same thing for your two fog lights. All right, so now we're ready to install our bumper. We've got our provided hardware and flat washers. We're gonna get our bolts into our winch mount mounting point. I've got an extra set of hands because this bumper is heavy, so we'll get it in place and start to get our hardware in. All right. Now that we've got our hardware in place, we're going to come underneath the truck, get our 19mm socket on our ratchet and tighten these down. And you can do the same thing for the other side. So now we can plug our fog lights in. So we've got our factory harness and we're going to plug into those T-taps. So our pink wire is going to be our positive on this side. Make sure that seats in fully. White with black stripe. These are negative. Once you have this side plugged in, you can do the same thing for the other side. Now we're going to reinstall our factory skid plate. So we'll get our hooks back in. That'll hold it in place so we can get our hardware back in place. Now we'll get our 12mm socket, get our bolts back in. Two front ones as well. Now we can plug our light bar in. So we've got our harness wires and our light bar wires. So for our particular harness, our white wire is going to be our positive. We put that in place. And our black wire is going to go to our black wire. And we can tuck this back in. Now once we've got this hooked up, we can go back into our engine bay and reinstall that fuse we took out earlier. Now we can reinstall our fuse. Okay. So now we're inside our cab and we've got our switch. Now if you need to grab this, it's going to be located right next to your park and brake pedal. You can just pull that forward. Now this is going to mount with an adhesive backing, so you have the freedom to mount it wherever you'd like. We're just going to stick ours right here next to the trunk release. So now we'll pull this adhesive cover off. We're going to stick this right here. As you can see, on and off function. Lastly, we can install our provided D-rings. So we're going to line these up with our hooks. Get our pin through. Snug that down. You can do the same thing for the other side. Alrighty folks, that about wraps up our review and install of our full width winch mount front bumper with LED lights for your 14 to 21 Tundra. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything Tundra, keep it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.